Welcome back to Curious Village HD. So yeah, now we have to climb the tower where at the top floor the golden apple awaits us.
You didn't tell me that. Wait a moment. You didn't tell me I was in a tower defense game.
Professor, look, the stairs are barred off. Hey, Professor, stop me.
Well, technically, technically, Layton, this is a bit more similar to an Atlas game since we're climbing a tower. You know.
This must be one of the puzzles Bruno warned us about. It does look quite difficult.
Hey, Professor, stop me if you heard this before. A dashing hero has to rescue something from the highest point in the tallest tower.
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to make do with us.
Alright. Alright, we already know how these puzzles work, so I'm going to take this opportunity to recap a little bit what is it that Bruno was talking about while we were talking about it over it. Basically, Bruno has been entrusted by the Baron to safeguard the village and safeguard this tower and the Golden Apple. And only one who can prove himself worthy by solving the town's puzzles, and of course climbing the tower with all of its puzzles included, will be worthy of the Golden Apple, aka the Baron's most prized possession. So, there you go. So that's what we're doing right now. Basically, you want to get the Golden Apple, prove yourself smart by solving these puzzles, I guess.
And then you have to, then what you have to do at the end, drink Grail from the right cup.
I mean, if it's a puzzle, I guess.
No, we have tea and cake.
And then Dick Layton drinks the wrong one and then he disintegrates. And then Luke says at the end, he chose poorly.
Poorly indeed.
Wait, if the professor's dead, how do I get out of here?
Of all the get the ball out...
I'll have to solve it myself.
Yep. Of all the get the ball out... That is true, yeah. Of all the get the ball out pods, this is definitely the hardest of this game because there's so many blocks, and yeah, it is quite difficult to the shortest possible route. Once again, is 21 moves. Yeah, it's quite the trial to try to get this done in only 21 moves because there's so many. There's so many steps.
You should have moved the green one before the purple one if you wanted to get it.
Not necessarily.
It's been a while, Jova.
There we go.
There you go.
This kind of puzzle can be done. Some of these moves combination can be interchangeable in a way, I guess.
I suppose. I was just saying, if you wanted to do it in less steps with how it plotted ahead.
I was going on a casual, I wasn't particularly going for the lowest moves. I was just, trying to do this in a more neutral, more casual way. Because usually when I do, that's usually what I do. Because remember, this is my first time playing the game in about 3-4 years or so. So obviously, yeah.
All right. So with that, I need to ask, how many times did you stumble with these puzzles, or did you just memorize them riding a bike?
Well, that's the thing, Deji. Some of the more memorable ones I did memorize. But puzzles like these that take so many steps. Obviously, I can't possibly memorize them, especially if I spend a while.
When the crank from the bridge was stolen, we were sealed in the village along with Don Polio. It could just be me, but I feel like this wasn't just a coincidence. No! Maybe there was some mischievousness afoot.
Well, Luke, I don't have any direct evidence of it, but I'd wager that it was Bruno's doing.
You think it was Bruno who trapped us in this village? Why in the world would Bruno do something like that? And come to think of it, if everyone's...
That's the only way you can get tourists.
Oh, there you go. That's a nice recap. But go ahead, Layton, recap.
Do you remember what you said, other than that's the only way you can get tourists to stay here? It's his duty to show the way to those who seek the golden apple.
Actually...
But naturally, Bruno had no idea what kind of people had come to Saint Mystere seeking their treasure. Seriously, all this place has is a dodgy cafe and one hotel. It's likely he trapped us in the village to buy himself some time to evaluate who we were so he could convince us to stay here and promote his shitty reports.
It sucks to be anyone who just came in casually. Oh, sorry, you are now a permanent resident until I evaluate who you are.
Okay, Joe, but to be fair, the loss of the crank and closing of the village was not part of Bruno's plan. So technically a person who comes in casually could leave at any moment.
Actually, from what Luke and Layton have told us, yes, it seems to be very intentional.
No, it's not. It was on Paolo. It was on Paolo that did that, though. but
No,
I
that's
know.
Luke mentioned it. They said that Bruno did that to buy some time to evaluate what kind of people were.
Oh yeah, but
Bruno
that's because.
were Layton and Luke.
Well, yeah, but that's because of Don
the
Paolo's
people
presence.
like them.
So, whatever.
Well, hold on. Layton just said that Bruno took the crank to evaluate who they were. He didn't say that was because of Don Palio.
Oh,
That reminds me. I wanted to ask about that too.
Did he even know about Don Paulo?
we
Because he was
really
a spy
should
the whole
get
time?
started. Look, we
He
really
doesn't
should get
seem to.
started here.
He did, Shira. He mentioned him in the
That's the
previous
entire
part.
reason, Shira. Not knowing what kind of people they were,
We're climbing.
So he was
tried.
being too cautious because of
Yeah,
Paulo.
pretty much.
Okay.
All right, get the ball
Besides,
out for.
we don't want to trap the player here for 10 minutes. What do you think this is, Metal Gear?
Solved.
Block, none shall pass.
So yeah, the crank solved. There you go. All right, there we go. Let's read
Climb
it
the
then.
tower.
Go ahead, Professor. Why don't you read this one for a change?
Bruno, caretaker to all of Saint Mystere, was the one who stole the crank for the bridge. His intent was to prevent Layton leaving the village, so they would seek out the golden apple, fulfill the late Baron Reinhold's last wish, to try and get some tourists to stay here.
It's like, well, maybe it's like you said. Maybe this is the biggest scale episode of Big Brother of all time, or season rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor, do you think that this would look like a good place to find some ingredients?
Oh, not another locked door. Whoever built this tower must enjoy watching people suffer. said
Again,
the
as big
Umbrella
as it is, Big
Corporation.
Brother.
Also, Danger.
Well, my boy, are you just going to stand there and complain about it? That's
Look out,
my job.
Professor.
Wow,
Look out,
okay.
Professor. I hear that there are some puzzles where you need to learn how to play Moon Knight's and
I think,
in order to figure it out.
I think Shiro, it was meant to come off as him just jokingly saying it to him, and he's like, "No, of course I'm not," and then he goes solve the puzzle just to, out of determination.
You were saying, Tia?
But no, that's the thing, Danger. Sorry, yeah, that's the thing, Danger. It's the game after this, Pandora's Diabolical Box, that has the subquest of finding ingredients for different types of tea.
All right. Anyway, let me.
God, you're kidding me? I was just making a joke.
Let me explain this. You need to solve this magic square in order to proceed. A magic square is a set of numbers organized in a square so that adding any string of three numbers, be they horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, results in the same total. 1 and 2 have already been placed on the square for you. Complete the rest of the square to open lock. Again, basic addition.
It's a variant of the Sudoku traditional formula.
Yeah, the magic square is one of the most classic, iconic math puzzles out there. Like it's been around for I think centuries at this. Let me see what's the origin of the magic square actually, because if I remember correctly, it's one of the oldest math riddles you can.
Traditional math as we know it, it goes pretty much as far back as mankind. The first, of course, who did something similar to that in terms of civilization were the Sumerian, but mathematics as a type of science were mostly coined by the Greeks, of course. But the numbers when we see them today are mostly from the Persian Arabian civilizations.
I don't get it.
How does this sound?
Remember the rules. It has to be done so that each row, column, or diagonal has to do the same result.
No matter which row, it always equals 15.
It's essentially Sudoku, dude.
Yeah.
I don't play Sudoku.
You should. It's actually pretty good as type of puzzle.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's in Dr. Kawashima's
My favorite variant is the samurai.
There you go. It's right here. Ancient references to the pattern of even and odd numbers on the free magic square appears in basically China. It dates all the way back to China, from what I'm seeing here.
I got it! The door's open now!
Good show, Luke. Now, wait, Luke.
Have a gold star.
There aren't any cameras here, are there?
Yeah, yeah, it's right here.
So what was it that you were asking me earlier? I'm all ears now.
I wanted to know when Don Pio snuck his way into the village. It seemed like he followed us here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Go ahead.
The only way into Saint Mystere is over the drawbridge.
He swam.
Plus, I doubt Franco would let in such an obviously evil character as Don
You don't remember
Pio.
Franco is the guy who operated the crank.
Yeah, basically.
What the heck?
Is his first name James?
I doubt Franco would let in such... you can't use this button here as Don Paolo.
I accidentally pressed back. Sorry.
It's fine.
To be honest, I still haven't quite worked out how Don Paolo Saint Mystere myself.
I wonder if the story will reveal that later
Remember,
on.
guys, as Justice for All told us, people cannot simply fly.
But it seems that after he made his way in, he tried to stay here, but Beatrice is in.
Not even just that, Jova. Right from the beginning, with the first very moment that Tom Powell shows up in this game, already kind of implies that he crashed, meaning it implies that he came flying on a machine. So it's already easy. It's easy enough to guess anyway.
It's also more of a thing even in universe. Luke and Layton obviously don't know, but we're just speculating.
Well, of course, they're saving it for the big reveal. So that weasel did himself up to look like Inspector Chelmy, snuck into the manor and... Hold on, when did he kill Simon?
That's
Yeah.
a good
So he
question.
did. Get to that in a moment. Must keep climbing.
Can't you say that on the way?
Come to
Basically,
think of it, if Simon's a robot, how did he kill him?
yeah, basically, right now the game is going on.
He pressed the off switch.
Yeah, the game right now is going on this pattern of okay, solve a puzzle, get some more.
Ooh.
Solve.
How?
Konnichiwa, amigos. I'm so glad to see other people. I thought I'd be wandering this place forever. Pavel, what are you doing? Pavel, what are you doing here?
And how did you got here?
It figures. You know what?
Hello.
You know what? It just figures. Of course, the one place that's locked down for security. Of course, this doofus found his way in there.
Maybe you should be
But,
done as a sort
Java.
of a plate tester.
How did you get in here? There's no way you solved all those puzzles. Unless my whole life is a lie.
Je ne sais pas. It just happened. Un momento, I'm wandering the sewers. The next thing I know, I'm here.
Is it really that
So
easy,
wait a minute.
Professor?
This
We
is-
didn't
this
have
is
to
pro-
solve all those puzzles.
This is probably the
Random
weirdest
smoke
season
is
of Quantum
leaking here.
Leap.
I think that this isn't the local hotspot my guidebook promised it would be.
Professor,
It definitely. I thought-
consider this, Professor. You're a trained archaeologist, yet a guy with no sense of direction beats you into the one locked tower of this whole blasted village.
I've got a question. Why did we have to do those puzzles if you could just sneak in here?
Magic.
I get the feeling he's magical, yeah.
Also, like, how far do you deliver mail? What is this?
No, sure. He's not a mailman. He's an explorer.
Why did you
Yeah.
think he was a mailman?
The bag.
Because of the bag, but no, it's also the clue is also
Theory,
the
a lot
hat.
of occupations involve
That's-
carrying bags.
but you
not
see-
just the post.
Don't you get it, Shiro? An explorer with a terrible sense of the direction. Irony.
Yeah, I thought, Dibs, I thought an explorer would have a backpack, not an over-the-shoulder bag.
Well, some
The
people
purple.
have
Well, depends, Shiro.
Alright.
Alright, yeah,
puzzle.
I love deduction puzzles. Jim, Mike, Steve, and Tom are standing on the first stairs. You know the following about them. Jim and Tom are not next to each other. Steve and Mike are one step apart, and Tom is on a higher step than Steve. So which of A, B, C, and D is Jim?
Choose carefully.
Yeah. But so yeah, the game right now is on this pattern of solve a puzzle, get some more story. Solve another puzzle, get some more story, basically.
Yes. This will pretty much be the pattern that later games take up. I mean, sure, you'll still need to solve some optional puzzles to get through certain roadblocks here and there, but when it comes to the overall story flow, the puzzles will be much more story-based from now on.
Yeah, not just that, and for this first game, at least, you get the idea that for each floor where we're getting off the tower, we're taking for each puzzle to explain a segment of the mystery that gets unraveled. Later games will instead have a more diluted type of flow, where the explanations happen both in story as it goes on, and the
I
puzzle
think
just
Jim
happen
is
to be on the
D.
way.
Jim is
Yes,
who?
Shiro?
Jim is who?
D.
Shiro? D? Okay.
I think she said...
Okay, we know that Tom is not D, because of course have to be an higher step.
Yes.
I'm just going to take a wild stab in the dark and say C.
Alright. Okay.
So Jim has to be either
You see,
A
if I
or
wasn't being timed for
Oh.
this, I would have solved
Jim has to be A or B, because if actually
It can't
no,
be.
if you're- sorry, no,
I
it
was
has
gonna
to be
say.
D.
Oh, okay.
Good job, Shiro.
Okay.
Remember,
Yay.
one step
Hey, guys.
apart. Remember, one step apart is right next
That's
to you.
right, Jim is D. Steve and Mike are next to each other, and Tom is above Steve. Since you know Jim is not next to Tom, he must be on the lowest step, so he is D. A is Tom, and Steve and Mike are B and C. Although there is no way of knowing which is which with this information.
Yeah, to be fair, the puzzle did that specifically just who Jim is.
Yeah.
If I was asking who Tom was, my babe.
Gracie! Now I'm ready to go back to the village.
It's gotcha.
Do you know how?
He'll probably end up in
What is
Spain.
wrong with his lips?
It's
James?
Caricature.
It's a caricature. Fortunately, he's white. Otherwise, it would be problematic. But yeah.
Toriyama's not writing this.
Well, more like drawing, but yeah.
He's an odd one, though, isn't he? I've never seen an explorer with such a poor sense of direction. Stranger still is how he entered Saint Mystere. I don't think even he knows how he did it.
I think we may have found the one thing that actually has left Layton stumped in this universe.
Perhaps his presence yesterday was another reason why Bruno felt compelled to hide the crack.
Oh, there you go then.
Did he even run into Bruno, honestly?
That's my speculation, Jova.
Jova, would you put that up? Would you put that possibility out of the table? I wouldn't.
Are these the kind of questions we're not supposed to ask?
If there's anything later on,
Anyway.
it's a good mystery, so...
Anyway, basically, the magic square that's all the way back to 190 BCE, and the oldest record is one that was made of stone and everything. I'm seeing right here. So, yeah, it is incredibly ancient, the magic square.
Oh, I meant to ask you, but I'm running with that explorer distracting me. How did Simon,
Solve the puzzle first, and I'll... Well, a good time, my boy. First, we need to solve this puzzle here, see?
Is there
Quite
any
the
reason you're stringing me along?
Oh god, Maiden's
Professor?
Escape. Of all
Figure it out for yourself.
boy.
Of all the mandatory puzzles in this game, this is, in my opinion, the hardest. Why? Because as far as again, this is a variation of the get the ball out puzzle, except this time you have a giant red square that you want to get out, and this takes a lot of steps and a lot of time and thinking.
There's a good reason why the game is not telling you right now what's the minimal combination.
Because it knows that would just make you cry, honestly.
Yeah,
Think
basically.
about your life choices.
I'm sure. Actually, that's a good idea. Let me see if there's actually an information on Layton walkthrough how the least number of moves, because there should
Not did he say in the end screen?
I'm sorry, what? No, the winning screen doesn't tell you the least amount of moves for this one. My guess is Akira Tango didn't want you to, don't worry. I'll spare you for this one.
I'll spare you this one, but the other puzzles now cry.
That being said, much like chess puzzle, these types of puzzles are still my favorite, so I still like it.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a latent speed run because of puzzles like
Oh, I'm pretty sure there is, Shiroi, but people who memorize the puzzles to heart.
Run for everything.
Yeah,
Pretty much. Also, don't forget, Shiroi, the dialogues can be potentially skipped very easily. Through presses, so those are not impeded.
And most of the puzzles can be solved nearly instantly if you already know the answer beforehand. So, I mean, when it comes to these puzzles, speedrunning for these puzzles, as long as you remember every single step of the lowest possible number of moves, you'll just go... And there you go, you'll go through it, basically.
Well, someone will, because speedrunning is huge part muscle memory.
Yep.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Here's a speed run for Ace Attorney Run 1 that's 3 hours and 34 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay, that is something that I need to know. How do you speedrun Ace Attorney?
The last case alone is like several hours.
Well,
It's not even just that, right?
Jova.
There's only one predetermined path. With no major variation, the only thing that varies is how fast you can click on a piece of evidence, I guess.
Oh, well, okay, there actually are means to speedrun Ace Attorney. First off, pressing and holding B on every single dialogue. As you recall in Ace Attorney, if you've already read a certain dialogue, if you press and hold B, you can essentially speed through it. Then the next thing is to absolutely dash to every room and get every single thing as soon as you can, all while rapidly pressing B. This includes during courtroom procedures, so you better memorize those. Court statements. Otherwise, if you press objection or select the wrong thing here and there,
You're screwed. Yeah.
It's
I was wrong. It's 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 25 seconds, and it's the
Still
world
wrong.
record.
so basically, so Jova,
That's all 5 of them.
so before you try to speedrun Jova, the correct thing to do would be to complete the game first, so all the dialogue would be skippable. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, speed running is basically you playing.
And
the game
there we go. All right.
She's out.
In the meantime, I checked it out too. The minimum number is 39 moves, so I was
So
close
you're
enough.
pretty close.
I was
you're
close
pretty
enough.
Close, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, casting even the winning text is like good job.
Wonderful.
You did
Yay!
it. It's like,
There we
We're
are.
drinking your tea as
Fortunately
our back.
now.
stop crying.
Amazing as always, Professor. Though you could have solved it in 39 moves.
You did a terrible job, Professor.
Yes. Now be sad like Crash Bandicoot is whenever you miss boxes. Especially in Crash
He's
4.
sad. He's getting a concussion.
Anyway, go ahead.
And in the remake, Shuri, sometimes he and
Yeah,
Coco
about,
get killed.
Simon.
Yeah, he passes out, yeah.
This is just my theory, mind you. So I think that Don Paolo followed us into the manor.
And that's when he did the dark deed.
That's when he met Simon. Came across him, as the case may be. I suspect Simon had already collapsed when Don found him. He sprawled on the floor.
He
And-
fainted at the very sight of the villain.
And there you go, right there.
Just like Ramon.
With Ramon, but yeah.
So maybe Simon has also stopped functioning properly.
Yeah, becomes probably. Yeah, and go ahead.
Well, I guess all the robots break down sooner or later, and when they do, Bruno comes to collect them.
Which explains that whole thing. The people disappearing are the ones that are getting tired or ill or whatever.
It
There
makes
you
you
go.
wonder, though, how do they eat and drink tea?
Go ahead.
Magic.
Yeah, magic.
I think you're spot on, Luke. That
He is
must be
magic.
why people began to associate the disappearances with the roaring from the tower. It's a very specific type of roar. Don't forget that despite his peculiar appearance, Don Paolo is a scientific genius. Therefore, he probably realized why Simon had stopped moving. If it weren't for the golden apple, Don Paolo likely would have left Saint Mystere right then.
Yes, I must take this robot and take it apart for science.
I'm sure he was
It's
eager to
always
take the
fun.
robot
I'll
apart
get
to
you
look
yet,
how it
Dr.
works.
Light. What?
And that must be when he decided to disguise himself as Inspector Chelmy, right? That rat made up the whole murder story on the spot.
Exactly. There was never any murder to begin with.
Yes, like any true professor, he is. Yes, but that's not the whole mystery.
But that's not the whole mystery.
We must keep moving. I'll explain the rest as we go, and by that I mean we don't explain it as we go. I explain when we stop as we go.
Let's just go.
Details, Professor. And there you go. 2 mysteries
That's
solved.
great. We're still missing 2 specifically. 1 and 5.
Just looks like Dr. Waller.
Probably inspired from.
Also, Dick Dastardly lives there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a good. That's also a good point. Well, okay, first read.
The loud noise
Loud
emanating.
noise.
Go ahead.
A loud noise emanating from the tower was whirring at the machines used to repair the robots for Saint Mystere. In several years since the creation of Saint Mystere, maintenance becomes necessary more frequently as machines age. Hence the
What?
report of increased noise at night from the villagers.
One thing I do like in the crossovers, like,
As a
well, they
robot with several
actually,
years on it, it was only natural that would break down sooner or later. He was quickly taken in for repair, then promptly returned to the village, blissfully unaware that he had just undergone a tune-up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I do like about the crossovers, like with the mystery section, they also do add an extra bit where Layton actually does give his 2 cents on each mystery. bit
Well,
here and there.
actually, that started with the main games themselves. With
It's not like I'm gonna say I don't have a clue what the fuck's going on.
it started
Oh no,
with.
killer robot!
If I remember correctly, it was Lost Future that started it up. I'll have to look back to Pandora's Box, maybe.
I think it was either Lost Future, the Diabolical Box, or maybe
Spectre.
Last Spectre.
One of those 3.
Might have been
yeah.
Last Spectre. How on earth did she get up here? Also, if she's
At this
a
point,
robot,
Luke, you
does that
just
mean
have
she
to
hasn't
roll
been-
with it.
She must have overtaken us. Funny, I didn't even see the old girl pass us.
Well, she herself is also a puzzle lover, so. Quit whispering
Maybe she's
amongst
turned
yourselves
around, too.
and try my puzzle already. It's a dumdinger.
I don't care.
Dinger.
Whatever the hell that means. Card order.
I guess that's just.
I don't care.
you know,
if you don't want to solve
Alright, this is classic. You've placed one joker and 4 aces with different suits face down on a table. Use the hints below to determine the position for each card. The club is to the immediate right of the heart. Neither the diamond nor the joker is next to the spade. Neither the joker nor the diamond is next to the club. Neither the diamond nor the spade is next to the heart.
Okay.
As you can see, this puzzle requires intense focus.
Look
and
at the cards, Joa.
concentration.
Look at the cards, please.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at. What are you looking at?
The ring, actually.
Yeah, true. It is a
Remember,
nice ring. Also,
Jova, one of the first things that I see in a person if they wear a ring on the left hand. Got need to check out the servants of the one ring.
and that dress does look nice too.
But more on point, let's see. Okay.
This is a game for kids. Don't worry.
Well, okay, no, that's also the thing.
Just cleavage.
Much like Dad said.
That's the thing, Roy. A lot of companies think that cleavage is terrible to have focus towards kids.
Remember, Dragon's
Oh God! Look at the cleavage.
Shiro, let us say that Dragon's Crown is a kind of worms that I
I've
don't
had
want to open.
when I was a kid, plenty of friends of my grandma's and mom had dresses that did technically show cleavage, and I never got traumatized. So to be honest with you, I don't understand that notion.
But yeah, whichever David was saying, this kind of puzzle works better if you actually have the time to, strategize. Sadly, it's not one thing that can be done speedrunning unless you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, oddly enough, it seems to be the Japanese rating system that seems to be against showing skin, especially cleavage these days, as opposed to the Western age rating.
But alright, I think there's so much
Bye then.
I guess you followed us in here. Again,
Oh,
is
so
this programmed that way?
She's programmed to be quite kooky and quirky.
Wait, hang on a minute. Luke, I said that earlier.
Why can't we just
Stealing my
disassemble her? Since
All right,
it's a
we're all-
robot?
alright, we're close.
We're close.
Also, Edward Nigman has been here.
Apparently, just like I thought, there's another puzzle unlocking this door. It looks really difficult, Professor.
What's in
Just as
two?
I deduced.
What is 2 plus 3? Luke, my boy, haven't you learned by now? No puzzle is without an answer.
Okay.
Then explain the
Then that's-
Explorer, dude. Come on.
Oh.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Let me
explain
use
the
a quote from.
Well,
quote,
Shiroi. Just because we don't know the answer, that doesn't mean there isn't one.
Okay, fair.
Actually, here's the puzzle.
Each of the numbers 1 to 9 exactly once to fill in the blanks and complete this equation. So basically, you have to
X minus y equals 3.
basically just
33,000.
use the numbers from 1 to 9 to create a subtraction that equals exactly 3.
This one's easy.
I got the answer. Is it 12,300 minus 6? No, that doesn't make any sense.
Also, let me use a joke done by one of the Adam and Pals video. Can God create a burrito hot enough that he could not manage to eat? Now that is a puzzle without an answer. More specifically, a logic bomb, but that's more of an exception. Anyway, one thing that I was trying to explain, but to mention 2 parts ago, was how the localization handled Don Paolo in my country, because the original Japanese name is instead Don Paul, which sort of gets a minor reference in Lost / Unborn Future with the true identity of Don Paolo. But for this actual surname in my country is called Don Pablo instead, the Spanish version of the name. I don't know exactly why. I wonder if it was for not having an actual Italian name, because when instead it came to the prequel series, Descore instead is pronounced similar to the first name with its French pronunciation, Descol, which I do believe makes a bit more sense. But to be fair, I don't know what is the original Japanese name in that sense.
I think it's Paul as well. Or I think Descole. Or talk about Descole.
That's correct. What is the? I know what Don Paolo is, but I don't know what that's correct. Our Japanese name is. If it's the same or not.
Let me see.
There we go.
And yes.
Every puzzle has an answer.
No, not every puzzle, but
The meaning of life.
I'm sure the professor will be so smart as to solve that too. I mean, he's died at this point, so he's technically been to the other side.
creativity and persistence. As long as you have these, no puzzle is beyond you.
Oh, that explains quite
Also
a
some
lot
intellect
about
too,
who
Professor. But
can
if
get-
From what
just
I
saying.
From what I can tell, too, it's the same in the Japanese version, John Descole.
So it's probably a way how the American localization has to pronounce it. Okay.
The
Lipsa?
one of the Baron's former wife, Viola, holding a child who appears to... whatever.
That's the one. It's uncanny how much Lady Viola looks like Lady Dahlia.
It's almost like they were family.
Do you suppose Ben Reinald's diary entries were talking about Lady Dahlia?
Sharp thinking, my boy. When something like this. Go away, this is private.
So I'm gonna make a hypothesis.
Oh no, let him read it first. Go ahead.
It reminds me of my sweet Viola. She was alive.
Yep, exactly.
That's the one that tipped me off.
Is everyone in this town based off a real person that used to live in
Possibly,
this area?
possibly.
Yeah, most likely.
Professor, do you suppose Lady Dahlia is actually a robot built to look
That's
like
entirely
Lady Viola?
That's entirely possible. Maybe even probable, given the circumstances. But if so, what a terribly sad story these entries tell. Do you remember what the next entry said?
Yep.
Death.
Flora doesn't like the thing at all. I've seen her run away from Tom.
Wow. You mean the little girl didn't like a robot?
This is
that looked
where-
exactly like her dead mother?
Recently, she spends more time playing by dear Viola's grave.
This reminds me.
Wow, congrats. You spooked a girl enough that she thinks it's safer to play around a grave.
This particular plot element is probably inspired by Astro Boy in the same way that Dr. Tenma created Astro to replace his lost son.
That did
Is
not
there a
go well.
continuity where his lost son's soul spirit was inside the robot?
No.
I
I
feel like
just
there
couldn't
is a continuity where that's the case, actually.
Well, if there
Yes,
But
if there is, I reject it because I don't like that idea at all.
the idea goes a bit against the notion. But I noticed also the specific choice of word. The Baron doesn't even treat, the robot Dahlia like a person, referring to it as it.
Yep.
You know.
Go ahead.
I guess when
Living with a
Flora
machine that was
rejected
so
it.
similar to his wife, but thus he decided to change the robot's personality. So Lady Dahlia was created. As she was originally created as a mother figure, she must have gone through a confusing transition.
So there you
I
go.
wonder, was-
That's exactly what tipped me off, Deji. In the same way that Tenma didn't like how Astro was way too much like Toby. Same thing here. The original personality of this robot was exactly like Dahlia, and all it did is remind him of how he lost her. So he changed his personality. Oh,
I
go
get
ahead.
the feeling
How
that
this
the
one?
main reason he changed her
But I have a
personality
feeling
was
that each
actually
of these
because
robots
Flora
have
didn't
something
like
else.
her.
What do you think?
I don't know.
I hope that they do.
Luke, my dear boy, what if robots were people?
That seems like that seems like an interaction that you would have between 2B and 9S, most likely.
But from what I can garner, it's not so much that the Baron changed Dahlia's personality because he didn't like it. It was more so because he originally intended for her to be a replacement for Viola.
But it
But-
seems
That's
that,
stupid. That's
not
insane. You're insane.
yeah, but it seems that the little girl was spooked out too much. Also, okay, aside from Tezuka's work, as far as existentialism goes, especially in terms of robot, the pioneer, of course, is the book "Do Androids Dream of Electric Ships," which was adapted in the cult classic nowadays, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that's not entirely clear is when all the robots were implemented. Like, as we saw in that flashback, Matthew was around even back then, so we have to wonder, was he a robot? Or is the Matthew of this now a robot based off of a Matthew who died back
I can answer that.
I get the idea Bruno basically produced them in mass and activated all of them at the same time.
But when you get down to it, the Baron had his daughter and wife living in a town where pretty much everyone else is a robot. Like, damn.
Yeah, basically,
that's fucked up.
Basically, Jova, during the climax, when that one plot point regarding the robots that you know that I will not say gets mentioned, they show on the top screen various ones of the robots, and Matthew is included among them, so that is kind of a tip-off that Matthew is also a robot.
Oh, no. I know that Matthew is a robot. What I'm wondering is if the Matthew back then was a robot, or if that was an original Matthew and he died or something.
We don't know. That we do not know. No.
I mean, okay. Either way, the implications are pretty scary when you think about it. It's like, hey, Baron Reinhold may not have been the best father after all, because maybe it's not best for a child to live in a place where
it's pretty much. This is a typical thing of Japanese games, like something like Pikmin. Like, for example, Pikmin is the same thing. Pikmin looks very cute and charming at first, but when you actually look at the story and think about it properly, it becomes very, very fucked up and depressing.
Splatoon, Shiroi.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Shiroi.
Or maybe not.
It's funny because we are in an illusion and Free Will is alive.
Hey Tio, do you think
That's tame.
Hey Tio, how much you want to bet Viridi would love the campaign of Splatoon, given what the world of Splatoon implies?
Okay, I'm not entirely sure, because Viridi is all about nature as a whole, but it includes the plants, and the world that has evolved in the Splatoonverse seems to be mostly favoring marine creatures and without that much of actual plant life.
Well, apparently Daft Punk might be in Splatoon 3.
Oh yeah, about that.
Man, would it be hilarious if the whole reason why the apocalypse happened is because Daft Punk split up?
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, but this is to do with a Japanese magazine, by the way.
Hey, Deds! Don't forget the speculation that some people think that Pearl's gonna be the main bad guy of Splatoon 3 because she and Marina split up after.
I hope not.
Before it's inevitably, she's also combined controlled by an Octavio, of course.
I mean, okay,
He's
it
not
happened
wearing
with
goggles though. But anyway,
you just reminded me, T, of how people initially thought that the reason Callie was working with DJ Octavia was because she was mad about losing the final Splatfest of the first game.
We'll see. The point is, again, much like in a true tradition that Nintendo is upholding, I actually do wonder if when creating Stonino wanted to homage this kind of behavior, considering it was supposed to be originally just on Nintendo DS. The idea of creating a war that is simple on the surface, but if you try to actually peer a bit behind the cover, you realize just how terrible it probably is.
Cannibalism is pretty average fare in the Splatoon universe.
Knowing Hino, he probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he even kind of intended that specifically, considering his other the rest of his work.
Also, Shiroi, corporate. Essentially, corporate dictatorship from an apex predator that is probably never ever been seen.
Remember,
also creatures that are supposedly sentient but also treated as second-class citizens, so they're all just dying.
And then
you're really lucky that you're using your mouse for this.
Sure, and then there's Mr. Grizz.
Yeah, I just mentioned it, like I said.
No, everybody's thinking of these really elaborate theories, and I just hope he's Judd.
No, it's that that sold you slimes in the first one.
Basically, the idea behind this puzzle was to make 7 squares using all of those pins.
Now we're free to keep climbing, but you know.
Hey, Luke, you know one thing I've noticed that we don't do compared to a lot of other gaming characters that climb up a tower?
Move.
Complain. Yes, quite. Other than Bruno's room in the cellar, the whole place is rather bare. You see, Luke, you're more mature than a 20-year-old guy with spiky hair. Perhaps that is why Bruno is making such a racket.
Wait.
But why would anyone want to construct such? He's talking about Final Fantasy VII, Pedro. A big purposeless tower, Professor. It's exhausting to climb this thing.
Luke, we were doing so well.
Oh, come on. He's just saying it's exhausting. Come on.
Did you ever consider that this tower might have been built for the express purpose?
Yep.
I mean, I thought
just
that was the
one of the
purpose
many
of this whole
trials.
village at this point.
This is just another one of the many trials that have been set out for seekers of the Golden Apple.
You
Yep.
can't climb these stairs, you don't deserve a treasure. Gosh, that makes perfect sense.
Luckily, I am very fit.
Oh, yes.
Maybe that's also why the tower looks so scary on the outside. Oh, and it doesn't look scary on the
Actually,
inside.
Basically,
that's also-
Deji, back in high school, Layton practiced sword fighting,
Yeah,
basically.
fencing.
This floor doesn't appear to have any puzzles for us.
I mean, there's
Although-
barely a floor here.
So if we climb the spiral staircase, maybe...
We'll reach the top floor. I think you might be right, my boy.
I'm surprised they didn't use this as an excuse to have an MC Escher-esque type of stairs.
Hurry.
All right. To the top floor.
Actually, Pedro, since you have a better experience at the moment compared to me, I've heard stories about the final dungeon on Tales of Vesperia being that kind of a chore in terms of stairs.
Oh my gosh!
Let's just say... Oh, God. Ooh, a
It's
little...
a house.
A little house? Huh.
Our view is obscured on the ground, but who would have suspected a charming cottage like this here?
It would sure be a shame to fall. Look, the lights are on, Professor. Who do you think's home?
We should go say hello.
Well, that's kind of the whole point. We're here, Shiroi, so yeah.
This is becoming a very interesting take on the Goldilocks tale.
There you go. We finished chapter 9. And now the epilogue in the next part.
And then
Yeah,
it is like, somebody touch my puzzles.
So get this, folks. The actual ending is the epilogue, which is normally something that you save as like a bonus chapter after the ending.
Well, technically, Jova, there's no more puzzles after this, so technically, yeah, we are done with the game, technically.
So it turns into a visual novel. Gotcha.
Well, it's the ending at this point. It's fine if it does that.
Alright.
All right, everybody. Even though up until this point, it's been mostly focused on the mystery, the final half hour of this game, in true classic level 5 fashion, proudly wears its heart on its sleeve. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See ya.